Dish TV is your education station, and it is still unclear how much of an overhaul the Indianapolis Local Education Alliance will recommend as they seek to create a more unified system. But we are staying on top of this for you, and we're able to do that because Amelia Pack-Harvey, she's a reporter for our news gathering partner, the Chalk Beat Indiana. She's been following the thread of the Indianapolis Local Education Alliance for a while now, and she's written about that meeting last week. And so we want to get the latest from Amelia. Thank you for joining us here on Daybreak.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's figure out where we go from here. So start us at the meeting last week, please. What was discussed? How much movement was made?
Sure. So I think the most important thing from last week is that the group really acknowledged this alliance, right? It was created by state lawmakers to solve for transportation and facilities across district and charter schools, because what we have right now is a very fractured system. So those were their directives, but it became apparent last week, or it's really been apparent, I think, to members for a while, that it's really challenging to solve for those problems without addressing who is in charge of the district and the charter schools. So I think the biggest thing that's facing the city right now is figuring out some kind of authority or higher up being that would be responsible for overseeing both IPS and charter schools and holding those schools, both school types, accountable.
Okay, so we're talking about who might govern the situation, and that's a big deal. That's a big change. Let's talk a little about how the public has been involved, please. You wrote about 100 people signing up to give comment. What did you hear?
Sure. Yeah. So we've heard a lot of the same major themes, which is groups that are more aligned with the traditional public schools. The district have called for a moratorium on new schools. They say that we need to stop opening schools at this moment in time as we figure things out. They've called for a limit in the number of entities that can authorize charter schools, that is, open new schools. And more broadly, they've also kind of called for maintaining an elected school board. Now, on the other hand, there's other advocacy groups that have been supportive of charter schools, and they've called for a hybrid appointed and elected school board. There were charter leaders last week that submitted letters to the Alliance that said they do not want a moratorium on new schools. And they've also, those charter leaders also say they do not want a limit of who authorizes charter schools to just one authorizer. They'd rather have multiple options to see who they can apply to open new schools.
Boy, it seems rather fragmented at this point. So how are they going to bring all these comments together, and when are their recommendations expected?
Yeah, so the recommendations need to be done by the end of the year. And as of now, I believe they're trying to get the vote on their recommendations at their December 17th meeting. So that's less than a month away. So things are moving fast. In the first week of December, so after Thanksgiving, they should narrow down these kind of options they floated last week for transportation and facilities and governance to one for each topic. And then they will plan to take public input between next week and the week of December 17th when they have their final meeting.
At the end of the day, Amelia, I got to ask you, is this just going to fade away, or do you expect some solid change happening?
There's definitely appetite at the state legislature to change whatever it is that Indianapolis Public Schools is doing. So I think there will definitely be change. Whether or not the lawmakers decide to adopt what the Alliance is suggesting is another story, because they are just recommendations. But I do think that there will be something coming out of the legislature. We'll just have to see what that is.
Okay, well, and we will lean on you a bit to keep us posted. Amelia Pack-Harvey, thank you for being with us here on Daybreak.